morning, guys. This is Dr. Cool Auto Fix. Welcome back to another interesting edition here. How are you guys doing today? Welcome back to my channel. If you're coming here for the first time, kindly subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification. And if you have done that, sit back and relax and let me give you all the intels you need to know about this guy called the transmission range sensor. Another name for this guy is safety neutral switch. Which of the name actually explain better what we're actually treating today? Kind of strange though. Transmission range sensor, safety neutral switch. Damn, this is like when your math teacher actually used a very simple example to teach you in the class and give you a further math or calculus as a take-home assignment. You're gonna be scratching everywhere, scratchable, to find the answer. Here is the deal. Safety neutral switch is some sort of a device which is engineered to keep your automatic transmission in a safe mode when you're trying to crank up the car. Now, if this safety neutral switch is not there, there's gonna be a problem when you try to crank your car because your car could be in a gear, your car could be in drive, your car could be in reverse, and next, boom, you have hit a car next to you. Oh my God! Yeah, that is how it is. So because of that problem, in order to avert that problem, that is why the safety neutral switch or the transmission range sensor is actually engineered to rob you of that mess and keep you on the right track. Suppose you made a mistake or you get messed up here with some sort of wacky weed or alcohol when you're having a bad day, so your car don't have to take share of that where you write it off and you are running into insurance problem. So now that you know what your transmission range sensor is or your safety neutral switch sensor, let's go into the symptoms of what this guy does into your car when it goes bad. Now you also know that it is not equipped in manual transmission, such as this guy here. The first symptoms of a bad transmission range sensor is a check engine light. The check engine light is a way which the ECM uses to tell you that there is a problem in one of the engine electronics management component, which is used either to control the gear or the drivetrain. It's part of the drivetrain sensors or actuators. And here, the safety neutral switch is actually there to prevent you from making any collision or damaging your car when trying to crank up the car. That's not tears, it's just a sword. Okay guys, now what you guys have to understand here is if this sensor is bad, your check engine light is gonna be illuminated because there is this just that way which the ECM is going to use to draw your attention. And when you see a check engine light on your back somewhere here, you shouldn't ignore it because it's not a Christmas tree or a WhatsApp notification message. Number two symptoms of a bad transmission range sensor is the car will not crank or start. In a sense that the transmission range sensor is actually a component designed to actually tell the ECM when you're about to start the car. So when you engage the car in park and you want to take it out of park, the transmission control module should be aware as much as the ECM. But if this sensor fails, they often don't give the right information to the ECM, so the ECM have no knowledge that you're about to start the car. So the car could be in gear even when you shift the shifter to drive. But in this case, when this sensor is bad, it will not tell the ECM that the car has actually been shifted out of park and about to get started. So if the ECM have no knowledge about it, then it's going to prevent the car from even cranking or starting. Number three symptoms of a bad transmission range sensor is your car will not go into drive. The manual transmission system, you can actually start the car and shift to any gears without any problems sometimes. But this doesn't happen in automatic transmission car, because in the automatic transmission car, every decision which you made, there are two guys which have to be very, very much aware at the first starting stage, such as the transmission control module and the ECM. The BCM can also an occupant classification system also. There are many of them that will join, but you often don't know. But when the mess started coming up, you will know the guy who is actually responsible. So when the transmission range sensor goes bad, in some cars you try to shift to drive, the car will not shift to drive. And this is just a safety measure to actually draw your attention before there's a catastrophic engine or car damage. Number four symptoms of a bad transmission range sensor is the transmission light get illuminated on your dash. This is very common with cars that are not equipped with PCM. Cars that are equipped with ECM can tell those tales because the transmission control module is independent of the engine electronic management, which is also known as the ECM. So when there is any problem concerning the transmission system or its component, then the TCM is going to report it exclusively to you on the dashboard, on the cluster gauge, or also known as the infotainment. So when next you notice that your car will not shift from park to drive, you also want to scan the car with a computer scanner, so you can be able to know, your OBD scanner, to know if you have a bad transmission range sensor, because there are other factors that can actually make your car not to shift from park to drive. And several other factors can actually make your car transmission light to come on, such as a bad shift solenoid, bad valve body, low transmission fluid, and a whole lot of them. So in this case, a bad transmission range sensor is going to make your car to eliminate a gear light on the dash. Number 5 symptoms of a bad transmission range sensor is the car go into limp mode. Some manufacturers have a way of creating a transmission issue with the soft glow, but some others can be very stringent. Sometimes it can be very discomfortable for most of you who are driving, not knowing there is actually some sort of a safety measure to save you from impending dangers that's going to rock your safety or put you in a financial bankruptcy if suppose you loan the car. So for those manufacturers that are stringent with any related transmission or engine problem, they engineer the car that when this kind of safety measures that actually help you to shift your car correctly and to shift your car from the park to neutral without hitting the next car beside. They actually equip their car that when it fails, your car go into limp mode until you discover the problem either by yourself, be you a car enthusiast or a. But if you are none of those, then you should give your car to a mechanic to diagnose it and find out why there is a problem. Or you should look out for a bad transmission range sensor. And when troubleshooting this guy, you also check the connectors, the pins. They are not bent, they are not corroded, because most of these transmission range sensors, they could be having many pins, a lot of pins than some other. Like this very Toyota, this is a typical transmission range sensor for Toyota Corolla 2006 model. It could also go from there to others. Now this one have up to 9 pin. Is mostly bolted on top of your transmission system. So this is the transmission range sensor, also known as this transmission safety neutral switch. So you want to check the connectors that are connected to it. Sometimes they get hit by corrosion and they get broken and they lost the signal going to the ECM. The number 6 symptoms of a bad transmission range sensor is the car shift into random gear. Oh my god! Yeah, when the transmission control module, which is a TCM, have no knowledge of which gear you have shifted into, maybe when you shifted from park to drive and it was driving and it started losing signal from the transmission range sensor, it can decide to shift from 1 to 5, or it can decide to shift from 2 to 4, or it can decide to shift from 1 to 3. Any of this is not actually good for the smooth operation of your transmission control systems as much as your transmission system. And when your ECM notices this kind of problem, sometimes you put the car in a limp. And most cars will not put your car in a limp mode and keep allowing it to go. And if suppose the full engine power is released in such condition, this will often result into a catastrophic failure of either the transmission control module or some other vital component inside the transmission control. So when next your car started shifting randomly into strange gears, unexpected gears, there's every tendency that you have a bad transmission range sensor. When next you try to start your car and your car will not crank or start, you could be having a bad transmission range sensor. When next your car go into limp mode, you could be having a bad transmission or a failing transmission range sensor. I remain Dr. Cool to Fix. Subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification for more info on how to fix your car for free. Bye for now.